morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. It's a little chilly. I got my jacket on, and we've still been getting a lot of rain, which I can't complain. Our plants are just bursting out the seams, which is really nice to see everything just green and lush and doing really well, because I know the summer's coming and we won't get this much rain, so I'm taking it all in as I can. So I'm coming out to the greenhouse to open up the windows and door. It's been getting in the 50s at night, sometimes 40 degrees. Still a little chilly, so my tomato plants aren't really doing that well like they did last year. I don't know what the deal is. I'm pretty sure it's the soil I've been using, so I think I'm gonna have to figure out another soil to use for next year. I know once I start planting everything into the garden, it'll be all fine. They'll start growing really well, but since it's been kind of chilly out here, I've been waiting as long as I can to plant all of my summer stuff, just because it's just been getting really cold at night. And I know peppers don't like being cold, and definitely the tomatoes haven't been doing really well in here. So I came out here just to open up the greenhouse and let everything breathe a little bit. We actually been cleaning up the storm damage. We got everything cleaned up. Looks really good again. It's really weird over by the new cottage garden having that tree gone, because it's just bare over there. It's hard to get used to that. And then we came out to the berry patch over here and we cleaned up all the debris and all the branches and all that. And my husband tried to bend up the fence as much as he could. I mean, it doesn't look terrible right now. So since we've been having rain, look how much everything has grown. The berries are doing so good. We actually been getting a lot of strawberries turning red. You can see in here, over in here. Oh, looks like something ate that one. So I'll have to pick that one off, but I'm sure it's something like a bird or something trying to get through here and trying to nibble at it. That's just one thing we have to deal with, is sometimes the ones on the edge will get ate by something. But for the most part, I mean, look at this big and lush strawberries. They're huge. They have just blown up from all this rain. And there are so many strawberries in here. A lot of these are not turning red just yet, but I believe in the next week or two we will be harvesting a lot of strawberries. And you can see on this bed over here, this bed looks amazing. Look at all those little strawberries just falling down the side of that box. And then even this right here, I've always had a really hard time with this in-ground bed right here. But look at this. Look at these strawberries. They are doing absolutely amazing this year. So I am definitely a firm believer of fertilizing your strawberries once in the spring. It definitely has taken off, and these are doing so good because this is really poor soil right here, and they're doing amazing. And I got all these flowers that come back every year. Got some hollyhocks, gladiolus, and then I can't remember what that is, but this comes back every year and I love it. It loves that spot, so I'm just gonna keep it in that spot. I got some chicks and hens right here. I really need to fix this one. It's been fixed before. I just need to get some really heavy duty glue them back together so I can put more of my chicks and hens over here to kind of even it out. But yeah, everything's looking really good. I mean, I got a lot of damage, but a lot of this is green. I'm not sure if it'll produce any berries this year because it got damaged, but still pretty green right through here where this tree fell in the storm. So you can see my husband tried to bend it back up as much as he could, but it's just really laying over. Luckily, I think we're just gonna cut the fence like right here and just maybe have to buy maybe 1 or 2 cattle panels for this long stretch, and we have this other wire down in the woods that we've been saving to fix this, so it's really not that bad of a thing to fix, which I'm really grateful for. This fence is a little bent as well, but it's not horrible. You almost don't really notice that fence being damaged, but it's a little bit bent. And this T-post right here, I need to straighten it up, and wire up my raspberries, because these raspberries are taking off finally. And I did a new thing this year. I usually do like 3 to 4 inches. I'll cut my raspberries almost to the ground and leave 3 to 4 inches of the plant. Well, this year I took a risk and cut them all down to the ground. I saw this other video and they had the exact same variety as I do. And I like to only have one harvest, like one big harvest of the year. So that's why I cut mine down all the way down to the ground. Instead of leaving 3 to 4 inches, I went all the way down to the ground, and I was a little nervous because I was like, oh no, they're not growing back, but they're growing back and they're doing amazing. What I learned was if you go closer to the ground with a certain variety of your raspberry, it'll help prevent disease and all that. So that's why I wanted to go all the way to the ground this year. And I'm going to get one harvest, one really good harvest, probably around the late August to early September, which I always get an early harvest, it seems like. It's supposed to be September, but we always get raspberries way before that. So all I need to do in here is put my little wire up to hold my berries in this year. I've actually never done that. I always tell myself I'm going to do that, but I'm always busy in the big garden. So I'm going to put a wire around here this year to hold everything in. So I'm grateful that we got all of this cleaned up. The tree is gone, and you can see where it broke off up here. It's kind of hard to see with the light outside, but I think we'll get some berries this year. I'm starting to see a little bit of flower development, so it won't be long and we'll be getting some flowers on these blackberries. These blackberries over here are a different variety. They've been flowering quite a bit. I'm not sure if the birds are just eating them. I haven't seen any berries form. I've just been seeing the flowers. So I might have to eventually put a net over these ones, because these are the most amazing blackberries you'll ever eat. They're big, huge, and juicy, and seems like the birds might be eating them before we even get to them. So I'll just have to drape over another little bird netting like this right here. So I got all these strawberries. Look at all that. They probably won't taste as great because we're getting so much rain. When you get a lot of rain, it just seems like your berries aren't as sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest these, give them to my boys today. And then hopefully we'll get some sun. We haven't really got that much sun this past week. It's just been really cloudy and rainy. So my tomatoes are showing it. I'll show you in here. So you can see in here my tomatoes are still looking pretty lime green. Definitely, I think it just needs some nitrogen. I fertilized it the other day. I fertilize every week, but it just seems like that's just not enough. They look a little better than they did actually 2 days ago. But these ones over here look pretty rough still. You can see that. Which I've had this problem last year. I'm pretty sure it's the dang soil. So I'm going to be on a hunt for another good soil to use, seed starting soil. If you have any recommendations, please let me know. I've used quite a bit of seed starting soil in the past. Just never found anything that I absolutely just love. And then my peppers right here, you can see this right here. These really... I really need to get some sun on these plants because they're just not doing really well when on cloudy days, and it's really cold. This morning it's probably 56 degrees right now. A couple days ago it was like 45 degrees in the morning. Trying to harden them off, but there's really no sun or anything to harden them off right now. So let's just hope that we'll get some sun soon and I can get all of this out of here. I'm just ready to get all of this in the ground and worry about it in the garden, and then I'll shut the greenhouse down for the year. These really need to be planted. These are my black-eyed Susan, and they've been in these pots forever. They're already blooming in these little pots, but it's just been so wet that I can't really transplant them just yet. And I started some squash in here, which has been kind of chilly, so I don't know. We'll see if they'll start popping up. Get a head start on my squash, some of my zucchinis. This next week is actually looking promising. It looks like sun and 70 degrees, so hopefully I can get all this stuff hardened off and out of here. I just love hearing the birds in the morning. It's just so peaceful, quiet, just hearing the birds. But I'm gonna walk over here and show you guys the cottage garden. There's a little bit to update, not too much, just because we had that storm damage. That's kind of been our focus. This past week was to clean up all of the storm damage. We got our propane set. Everything's actually looking really good. The flowers are filling in. The rain has really made them grow. So you can see our propane tank got set back up, and we got so lucky that it did not pinch this line that goes in the ground. And there was no damage on our propane tank when the guys came out to look it over. So we were so blessed that that was not damaged, because if you guys are new here, we had a storm come in and blew a huge tree over and moved our tank like 5 foot. It was like on its side, and we had another tree fall in the berry patch and ruin the fence. But luckily, the guys got it back up here. We just had to pay a service fee for them to come and do that. Wasn't very expensive. So very happy that got that done. Still need to power wash it. That's been on my to-do list ever since we've moved here. But I had to divide some irises this year. So I planted irises all around this propane tank because this is horrible soil. It's like really rocky ground. But irises, they don't look really good right now, but they'll come back next year and they'll look a lot better. And a lot of them got smashed, like that one right here got smashed with that tree that fell. But they're pretty tough plants. They'll come back and they'll look way better. This is just a transplanted iris, and they always look horrible the first year that you transplant them. But they'll come back. They're like a purple, I'll show you guys over here in a little bit. They're like a purple iris with like a yellowish center. Then over here, we took this tree down last year. My husband rented a piece of equipment where he had to get up in the tree and take down 2 trees over here. So that's why I was saying it's really bare over here. There's like no trees anymore. We just had these couple trees, and the poor chickens now don't really have a lot of shade. But this is my lilac bush, and I planted another lilac bush like right here. My husband actually got that for my birthday. So eventually this will fill in with a huge lilac bush, I hope. It's really good soil around this stump. And then over here, we'll just walk back over here to the cottage garden. I love calling this the little small cottage garden because that's exactly what it is. I just been keeping up on the weeds. I'm going to show you guys the tool that I use for that. I absolutely love it. I got a small one and a big one. But first off, so this big section right here, this top section, these are all plants that are just going to come back year after year, and I don't have to worry about them. So I got some creeping phlox. What's new in here is some lavender, and I got peony that I transplanted, dianthus, lots of phlox. I love phlox. And I think it's veronica and some type of sage plant. And then I have some sedum right here. And then I started this indoors. This was feverfew, which I think it'll reseed itself and hopefully come back next year. Let's hope. I got some yarrow in here. I might be regretting planting yarrow in here because yarrow will take over eventually. But hopefully I can control it. And of course my clematis, that's been here ever since I moved here. And then I got some foxglove. Look how big they're getting. All this rain. So in the center here, I planted all kinds of lilies that come back, supposed to come back every year. And 2 of them so far has popped up. A lot of them actually have sat in my house too long, and the bulb was a little bit rotted. So let's hope that that didn't happen, and hopefully these will come up, which I haven't seen them yet. Now look at all my cold hardy plants over here. You can hear these chickens in the background. I really need to feed them. We got some larkspur right here, which they're getting really big. I got some bachelor buttons, and I got some love and a mist. The love and a mist is actually taking a while to take off. I got some candula through here. But, I mean, this thing has really blown up, this bachelor button. So coming back around here, this is kind of like where we walk up to feed the chickens and little walk path. So this is actually still bare right here in this section. Like I said, I have that black-eyed Susan and some Rebecca that really need to be planted somewhere. So it might be right here since I don't really have a space for all that just yet. And then I got some status around this peony right here and some Chinese forget-me-not. And I actually put some more phlox in around this stump just because there's a little bit of weeds that always grow around this stump, and I was hoping this phlox would take over eventually and be really pretty in the years to come. And then I have some more phlox right here. So I put phlox, creeping phlox, in little spots everywhere. So I'll get this burst of color every spring whenever you look through here. It'll be so pretty. I can't wait to see that one day. So I got my little rocks right here. It's like a little path to the stump. And if I ever want to harvest in the center right here, I can. And I got some bills of Ireland growing. These actually blew up. They didn't really look that good whenever I planted them, but now they look amazing. I got some straw flower planted in here. They're growing really well. And of course my snapdragons. I just love snapdragons. They're so pretty. Now on the other side of this walking path, I mentioned that this was kind of horrible soil, which I'm going to take that back. My Orlea actually finally sprouted, and they're getting really big. You can see right here. So this is my hand, or look how big that's getting. They're actually looking pretty good. I put a lot of fertilizer in this area, and I think they're finally doing really well. It was a slow lease fertilizer, so I think that's why they're finally taking off and doing really well. And then the front half of this little section, I put my dahlias, and I'm probably going to put more through here that I have in the greenhouse. And so I think they'll do really well here. We already got some dahlias popping up from these little bulbs that I had. They're looking really healthy and green, so I guess this area actually is going to grow flowers after all. So now looking at here, we're going to walk down this path here, and I put these stones in this year on each side. And then I transplanted, I had a bunch of daffodils, and they were in my front yard, a ton of them. And my husband, if you know my husband, he don't plant anything in the yard or he'll mow it over. And I think the last 2 years he's mowed these over, and you're supposed to actually let them, after they flower, you're supposed to let them stay green for a really long time until they die off, and that's what produces your flower for the next year. Well, he's been mowing these down, and we haven't seen any flowers this year. So I just dug them all up, and I put them on each side of this container here, and then there's some right there, and then some down there. So we'll get a pop of color with daffodils next year over here by the chicken run. Then I got some more chicks and hens. My brother actually gave me some more, and I got small dahlias growing in here. You can see they're finally popping up. Thought that would be really cute to have those in here. They're the colorful ones. I got some gladiolus planted right here, and then I know I mentioned that I wanted to do some hydrangeas right here eventually, or some comfrey that I had, and just fill this fence line in because this is the chicken run right here. Well, I don't have the money to be buying a bunch of hydrangeas right now. They're expensive. I scratched that idea, And what I went ahead and did was I took a bunch of this dirt, I tilled it, pulled all the weeds out, used my new weeding tool that I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit, and kept it weeded really well. And I had a ton of marigold seeds. So I planted marigold seeds all along this whole entire fence. So I'm hoping they're still good, because I've had these seeds for a couple years in the garage, and I planted them all along here. So it'll be a burst of orangey yellow marigolds. I think that'd be really pretty through here. And then my mother-in-law gave me this azalea bush. It already bloomed. It's actually dropping its blooms, but this will get a pretty fairly good size eventually. And there is a comfrey plant right here, so we'll see if it'll grow. That's the plan so far. It's just so bare now that all these trees are gone. There used to be a tree here, and then of course a tree right there. And it used to be shaded really well. So it's gonna be different having this part in sun this year. It's gonna be hard to get used to that. But luckily we still have these two trees. I might have to plant another tree back here to start establishing for the next 10 years to come, because there's just no shade back here, and it gets really hot in the summertime. So we'll go on the other side of the chicken house and see what's going on over there. All right, on the other side of the chicken house, we got this tiger lily that's just bursting out the seams. It's huge this year. My brother actually gave that to me. It was at his house. I just transplanted it here. And then my phlox has really taken off. This is probably just over a year old, and look how big that has spread. And I got my mum that I had on my front porch last year. My aunt actually gave it to me. It's one side is one color and the other side was another color. So pretty. So I'm hoping it'll still be like that this year. I got some dianthus right here. More phlox down in here, which this peony bush, I mean, my goodness. This thing has not been this big at all the whole time I've lived here. I've transplanted it here, what was it, last spring or the year before, I can't remember. But look how many flower bulbs are on this thing. I mean, my goodness, this is going to be beautiful. Which I didn't think it was going to get this big. So I actually have more creeping phlox down in here that I might have to transplant one day, because there's not going to be any sun getting to that plant. And I believe I got some echinacea, I think that's back in here. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I planted that like years ago. Here's another peony bush. This is like the same root that came off this. I actually had another one right here, but I transplanted it because my husband ran it over with a stock trailer. But it seems like this one only has one flower bulb on it this year, which is fine. Next year it'll look like that. Doing great here. More dianthus in the center right here. And here's that iris I was talking about. This is all the roots of the iris over by the propane tank that I was talking about. It was just taking over this whole entire bed. And I think that's what irises do. They just spread like crazy. So I gotta maintain this little area of irises because I do not want it to spread everywhere, because I got these beautiful flowers that I spent money on that I don't want them to ruin. So if you come over here, so we got this purple one. Look at that, isn't that pretty? And then there's this one right here. Purple, you know me, I love my purple flowers. And I got some more getting ready to bloom right here. This actually likes this spot. I've noticed though my neighbors, their iris has been blooming way longer than these started to. So it might be just because this tree's right here and there's a little bit of shade, but they're still doing good and they're blooming. And on the back side here, see, I still got some irises that I need to pull out of this fence because it'll eventually take off and spread again. But back here I have a different type of phlox that's tall, and I got some right here. So this back will be like a tall phlox, and I believe they are purple, of course. My favorite purple flowers. If you know me, love purple flowers. So if you can imagine, once those take off right there, which I think they need full sun, I'm really hoping that they'll take off. Which my last house, I planted tall phlox in mostly shade, and they did really good. So I'm kind of thinking that they're going to be the same thing here. So eventually I'll have some tall phlox to kind of block some of the chicken run. They can have some shade right there in this little corner. But so far everything's filling in really nicely. Honestly, I'm kind of getting tired of trying to figure out where to put plants and buying plants, flower plants that is. I just want everything to get established where I don't have to do too much work. The only thing that I'll be doing every year is this little section right here will be my section where I do my annuals, like my snapdragons and strawflower and all that. So these little areas will be worked up. And then of course my cool flowers, I'll just have to drop seeds in the fall and have them grow. And then some of this stuff, this area as well, like my status, will be planted every year. So I'll have a few little areas that will be filled in with annuals, and a lot of the stuff will grow back every year. I'm trying to cut costs where I don't have to be buying any flowers or having to start so many seeds, because I got this huge garden to take care of as it is. But I think this is going to be really pretty this year. So far I'm really pleased with it. I have big plans in the near future. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys my dream that I have been dreaming up. So eventually my greenhouse where it's at right now it's just not going to last there forever. These winds that come through, eventually it's going to get destroyed, and replacing the panels all the time, it's just not going to last forever. So eventually I would like to continue this cottage garden on the back side of this propane tank, just continue it on, and then in this corner over here put my new greenhouse slash she shed where I house all my tools, most of my garden stuff, so I can get out of the garage. And like all of my black plastic I can roll up, all my watering supplies, my nets, all of that good stuff, all the tools where it can stay in a little shed instead of being out in the weather all the time. And I think having it right here would be perfect because it's close to my garden. It's not that far of a walk. And I just love this little area now. It's just kind of opened my eyes to a new opportunity in the future to have a little shed and a little greenhouse. And now this spot gets plenty of sun because that tree's gone. But that's just dreaming. Eventually one day that'll probably happen, because we do have plans to move that berry patch that we were just in with the greenhouse. I do have plans to eventually move that, and my husband wants to build a shop one day close to there. So, and I would just like to be able to look straight on my backyard and literally have, you know, all my berries, my garden, you know, my cottage garden, and the greenhouse over there behind the propane tank. So everything is just on the backside in the backyard of our house. I think that'd be really nice. And plus, my water hose comes off right here from our faucet, and just to have one line going for the gardens would be so nice, because right now our faucet, we have another hose that goes all the way to the berry patch. And sometimes it's such a pain because my husband, he mows like every week in the summertime. So we're having to move hoses constantly. And then we have a little drive that goes back through here to our cow field, and that's where we load our pigs and get our cows, and that's just our main little drive. And we always have to move our hose on both sides for that as well. So one day, just be nice to have everything on one hose, and then I can connect different pieces to connect all the water lines. But that's just a dream that I have in my head right now, which a lot of my dream has come true right here. So blessed. We are basically established now, and it feels great. And I did my first harvest yesterday and took it off and sold it, and it did really well. So I'm really grateful for that. I need to go inside and start more lettuce because a lot of my lettuce got cut yesterday when I went and sold, and I'm gonna need to start this section of lettuce now, which I'm really behind. That storm that came through really threw me behind because we had to clean up all for a couple days, and I'm behind now on starting more seeds. But this will be another talk for another day. This is the main garden. So really quick, I want to show you guys the tools that I've been using to weed out these gardens. This has been such a game changer. Now this one's fairly new. I have only had this one probably a couple days. It just came in the mail. And then this is called a stirrup hoe, and it's been the best tool I have ever used. So I've just been going in between these plants and just taking out the weeds real easily, which is kind of hard to do with one hand right now, but it's doing a fairly good job. And you wouldn't believe the weeds that have been popping up through here since all the rain we've been getting. I've already weeded out everything, and it looks so nice. If I would have showed you guys the before, there were so many weeds popping up. So then using this one, I mean, it just glides on there, takes it off. It's so nice. And it comes to like a point that you can almost see right here. So it's easy. This one's easy to get through really tight spaces. But it just brings up the root and all. Here, I'll come over here. So like, you see how close it is right here with these. I can easily get in here and weed all these little weeds out really fast. I mean, that was so quick. And it literally just rips up the root and all. You can see there. And I just love this little tool. Now I can link the stirrup hoe down in the description below. Now this one, I'm not sure if I can link it, but I'm gonna see if the company will let me get a discount code. Hopefully they will, and if they do, I'll put the link down in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today of the update on our little cottage garden. I can't wait to show you guys what it looks like this summer. Hopefully it'll take off and do really well. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next week.